Okay, you quick course people, are you feeling like you're getting whiplash a little bit right now from the intensity of this course? I hope not. I understand it goes fast and furious, but the wonderful thing is that you get it done quickly too. I think I said that last week. All right, so always looking on the sunny side. Hope that you enjoyed your fall back and gained your extra hour and enjoyed an extra hour of sleep this week. I always get hungry at the wrong times. That's the biggest thing I noticed from the time change is I get hungry and I hate running when it's dark and I'm an evening runner and it seems like it just really messes up my running schedule. I'm so self-centered. Okay, hey, I hope you had a great weekend nonetheless. And here's what we're doing this week. First of all, on my part, I want you to know that I'm trying very hard to get papers turned back to you quickly so that you have something to go on before you turn in your next paper. So hope you're noticing that for the first paper, you all should have received a grade sometime during the day on Wednesday. And for this next paper, that's my goal. I can't promise that, but that is my focus. You do get priority when I go to grade papers because I know that you're trying to write the next paper and you don't want to make the same mistakes twice. That was always my pet peeve as a student. So something I try to be mindful of, and I hope that you're catching on that I attach a document that has all sorts of comments out to the side. And if you don't ever understand a comment or aren't sure where I'm going, don't wait too long. Like, ask me those things. I want the opportunity to clarify what I mean by those comments. Okay, so please ask questions as they come along. So what are we doing this week? This week's focus is on our illustration essay, and an illustration essay isn't every paper probably has illustrations, and in fact, some of you, as I was grading your work this time, I wrote, oh, great illustration. You did it. This is not about drawing skills. I've actually had students write to me and say, oh no, I can't draw. How am I going to illustrate? Can I use my computer to make cartoons or whatever? I'm like, no. It's not about that. It's creating pictures with your words. It's elaboration. Many of you say, and several of you on this first paper said, I just ran out of things to say. And that's understandable. But most of the time, we can fix that problem with how we elaborate. Some writers call it meta commentary. And what that means, meta commentary, is talking about what you're talking about. So I do this when I talk. I say, what I mean by that is, bring those kinds of phrases into your writing. Imagine yourself on a job or even talking with friends and you're trying to clarify. How do you clarify? How do you relate with others? Do you tell a story that relates to their story? Do you say, oh wait, no, that's not what I meant? Okay, think of those opportunities in your writing and use those as ways to elaborate through stories, illustrations from, some people are more personal. I like to tell personal stories, but some people are less personal. Think about something you saw in a movie or a show or something you read about that you could bring in to illustrate. Or, like I said, use your personal experiences if you're comfortable with that. Using personal pronoun I and me and we, those are all good. Avoid that you, because you can sound too narrow. If the you doesn't fit me as a reader, I might feel alienated. It can also sound too instructional, which can change the purpose of your writing. We're not writing instructions to anyone. We are trying to make a point. Okay, so how does this fit in big picture with this paper? Some of you had questioned this before. We're sticking with a thesis that is driven by an argument that is related to the writings that are assigned in the class. Here's your special task this time. Instead of just using a response to one article, you're actually going to be choosing two. This is a synthesis paper, and I do have some synthesis concepts in our resources in the classroom if you want to pull those up and kind of use those as extras. And the Aaron text talks about illustrations, and so does the Hyatt. So page 46 to 47 in the Aaron text and 454 in the Hyatt text will help you to see the illustration portions, and then there's the extra resource about synthesis. Here's your task. You're going to read through the I'm sorry, I misrepresented that. The Hyatt text is 554 is one of your readings for this time. So you're going to read Hyatt, Lakoff, Tan, Hentoff, and Brunvan, Tannen, and Sinha. That's 7 essays. In those 7 essays, I want you to find 2 that speak to the same argument that you want to present. When you choose an argument, you can spin off of an existing argument and go along with somebody's idea that they've already put out there. You can argue that they've left out something. You can argue against them. You can find an argument that's related that their ideas would help to support. And when I say find an argument, I mean just in your head, something it makes you think of. These are all options for you. I'm going to use an example here. Several of the authors talk about topics related to communication. I could argue that communication is something that needs to be learned. It's not completely intuitive, and I could use several authors to illustrate different elements of communication that we need to deliberately teach in our culture in order to eliminate communication conflicts. Okay, that's an argument. And there are several authors that would work with that. By the way, if you want to borrow that argument, go for it, because I didn't really develop it out. You make it your own. If you like that, use it. The idea is not to treat the articles separately. I don't want a summary of tan and a summary of Tannen. I want you to show how tan and Tannen, for example, you don't have to use those two together, but they do work well together, by the way, what they would say to each other. Would they agree with one another? Would they disagree with one another? Use phrases like in both articles, or in contrast to Tannen's point, Tan asserts that. Okay, and then throw your own voice in. So you've got a 3-way conversation going on here. You've got you've got Article 1 and Article 2 that you're all bringing together. They don't have to match. They can be saying exact opposite things. In fact, you can find 2 articles that disagree with you, and that's still using synthesis. You're not looking for people to comply with your argument as much as you are looking for conversation within the articles and your own head to create a developed synthesis argument. Your illustrations can be original and should be, but they can also be used, you can pull illustrations from each of these texts, because each of these texts is actually illustrating something. They use illustrations. So basically, I'm using illustration essays to ask you to make a synthesis paper that illustrates your argument. Okay, hopefully you got all that. 3 assignments this week. Discussion board where you choose essays to respond to. They may or may not be the essays you actually use in your article. Along with that assignment, to get full credit, you must also respond to other people's posts. Could you please have that done no later than Wednesday so we have somebody to respond to? That'd be helpful. Thank you. Okay, and then the next 2 assignments are the peer edit and the final draft. I had a number of people say they didn't have anybody edit their paper. Please try to post your paper before the weekend and try to mix up who gets edited. If you see one person already has been edited in the discussion board, could you edit somebody else's? To get full credit for the editing assignment, you're doing an initial post with part of your paper and what you'd like edited, like an editing question. And second, you are responding to peers in the discussion board on their writing. Don't do a, hey, good job, without telling them what's good about it. Don't do a, hey, you might want to fix this, without explaining how you would fix it and why. Detail's good. It helps us to go deeper. And then finally, your final draft is just sent to me by Sunday at midnight. This is a lot. It goes fast. The good news is that starting next week, we're going to pull back a little bit and do some retooling to get geared up for your research paper. I'm not sure research papers are always good news to us, but there is going to be a little bit of time to catch your breath following this week. Have a good one, and keep coming at me with questions. You're never wasting my time or bothering me with questions about the assignments and the work. Hope you're having a good one. Bye-bye.